Hey, and welcome to Leadershipisation, all things leadership. I'm Beth Bergen. I'm a global leadership and communication coach, and I work with executives, with managers, and with business owners. And my focus is on building influential leaders. And I look to do this by working with individuals and in small groups to enhance, to build on, and to maximize the influence that comes from really strong, appropriate leadership and communication skills. And this is all about you as a leader then being able to lead a cohesive team, to drive the team to get the results that are required, but also to become more visible in your organization and also more visible in your industry. And I'm here live most Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Now, just a reminder before I get into today's topic, if you like what you see, the recordings are available. So reach out and we can direct you towards the recordings. There's a YouTube channel. They also stay on LinkedIn for a period of time. But if you're interested in learning more, just let us know and we'll direct you towards that. So this is our last leadershipisation for 2025. And it's all about reflection. The reason I chose this is because most of us are having some kind of downtime between now or between Christmas and New Year. It kind of feels a lot like a dead week. And what I wanted to remind people about was that experience by itself actually doesn't make you a better leader. Experience just by itself, it needs to be reflected on in order for you to be able to grow and adapt your style to the particular circumstances. So, you can either have 10 years of leadership experience, particularly when you've been prepared to reflect, or you can have 1 year repeated 10 times. So this is all about us pausing long enough to ask, what did this experience, what did this time frame teach me about myself? What did this specific experience teach me, or what has the last week, the last month, the last 6 months, or 12 months taught me? Because reflection is how you build that self-awareness, and this is how you learn to lead yourself. And if you followed me, what you understand is that my very firm belief is that in order to be able to lead others, you need to learn to lead yourself before. We start by leading ourselves, then we lead others, then perhaps we lead leaders, and then perhaps we lead the organization. So what we're doing today is we're exploring reflection, not so much as a soft skill, but as an actual discipline of your leadership. And this is especially powerful for you when things slow down. And as I said before, that's why I've chosen now as the ideal time for you to be starting this reflection. So we've got 4 key points to look at, and then I have some tools that you can actually use to do this reflection over the next few days. Because if you're off work now or you've got some downtime, you potentially aren't going to get back fully into it for almost another week, so another 6 days or so. So the first point is this: reflection. It's a foundational skill. It's a foundational skill for self-awareness and self-leadership. We can't lead others unless we know and understand and lead ourselves. We think we are. We might believe that we're leading others, but we're going to be better at it when we understand ourselves and when we know how to actually lead ourselves. And so what I really encourage is that you look to use reflection to understand and to uncover things about yourself. What are the things that trigger you? Who are the people who trigger you? What patterns of communication and of behavior and of leadership do you consistently fall into? And are those patterns which serve you, or are they patterns which sabotage you? And what can you do about those? Are those triggers that serve you? Are they warnings that serve you? Or do they take you down a path that takes you away from what it is that you're actually trying to achieve? Because sometimes other people recognize that in you, and they will trigger you because they know it's not going to work. You know, you're not going to stay on track. Most of you will remember a teacher when you're at school, and that teacher might have been your maths teacher, but they also were a bit of a history buff or something like that. And if you ask them the right questions, the whole lesson would just go down on a pathway like that. Yeah. So they're triggered by that. That's a positive. Well, maybe it wasn't for those who needed to learn maths, but that's just a positive example. The other thing that it's useful for you to learn and understand about yourself is, what are your default reactions under pressure? What are your default reactions under pressure? And these are important because often this is when the not so awesome version of your leadership shines through. Now, self-awareness comes when you can understand why you reacted the way you did in the particular situation. So when you look at those triggers, when you look at those patterns, and when you look at those default reactions and bring them together, then your self-awareness is going to be much more current and much more real, because you've taken the time to do the reflection. The second thing is this: when we avoid reflection, whether we do that on purpose because we don't want to, or whether we do it because we just simply run out of time or we don't make the time to do it, avoiding reflection comes at a cost. It needs that reflection. What I'm trying to say, what I'm getting excited about, is telling you that reflection needs honesty. And it can be hard and it can be uncomfortable. However, it moves us closer to that truth, to that self-awareness. And sometimes what happens is that we stay really busy to avoid reflection. Like, if we're really busy, then we don't have to reflect. So what that means is that we don't sit with our mistakes. We don't take the time to identify where there might be a misalignment in between what we're feeling and the actions that actually happened. And we don't take the time to acknowledge that everything that we're doing isn't good. It isn't necessarily the best that we could do. Neither do we take time to acknowledge perhaps that we're tired. Like at this time of the year, it's okay. It's okay to acknowledge that you're tired. At any time of the year, it's okay to acknowledge that you're tired. And so the cost of that lack of reflection is that we repeat those same behaviors. So we make the same decisions. We have the same blind spot. We actually limit our own growth because we haven't done that reflection. And as a direct result of that, because we're repeating those same patterns, making those same decisions, we're trying to lead into those same blind spots about our default reactions, our triggers, and our patterns, then what happens is that less opportunities come our way. And it's likely that we're going to be less visible in our organization and less successful at communicating with, leading, and influencing our team. The third point is this. Your experience, whatever you're experiencing as a leader, it becomes wisdom once you start to reflect on it. That's when it starts to really gel with you, because you've taken the time to go, that was awesome, that worked really well. Ooh, maybe I could have done that a little better. How might I have changed things? What lesson did I learn here? Because you've done that simple reflection, then that growth is likely to happen. When there's no reflection, the experience stays pretty raw. It's not consolidated. You don't learn the lessons from it, and whatever has gone on, whatever has occurred, doesn't bring you as much value as it would if you reflected on it. Because when we reflect, when you reflect over these next few days, you're looking at what worked and why. You're looking at identifying what didn't work and your part in that. This is where self-awareness and self-leadership and that hard honesty and that uncomfortableness comes in. What was your part in it? What are the BS stories that you're telling yourself? So that what you can start to do with the reflection is to remove the actual facts. This is what happened from the stories that you're telling yourself. And that's a learning process. It's an absolutely learning process. And it's actually not about doing more. It's about thinking more. And that leads to you evolving and growing. And what that means is that you're more open to learning. So that's quite circular. Like what happens here is that I'm doing the thinking, I'm doing the reflection, I'm evolving and I'm growing, and I'm moving around the circle and opening the door to be able to learn better, to be able to learn more. The fourth point I want to raise today is this. Self-awareness builds trust and authenticity. And what we know is that the more your team trusts you, the more authentic you can be, the more likely they are to do the kinds of things that you are asking them to do. The more likely you've got great rapport with them. So when we reflect, and this is the key, when we reflect, it's about taking responsibility. That's your goal. And this is why it's a bit hard and uncomfortable. It's not about blaming, oh, that person was to blame, or, oh, this is all my fault. It's not about deflecting and acting like it didn't happen. What we're looking to do is to adapt our style. And self-awareness will bring this. We can adapt our style rather than defending or getting stuck in a position. The self-reflection, the self-leadership, the self-awareness enables us to model growth. It enables us to model humility. It enables us to model authenticity. And what we know is that those are the things that build trust. When you're aware, when you're grounded, and when you're demonstrating yourself that you're willing to learn. So the real positive that comes from the reflection is that self-awareness, which leads to the self-leadership continuing to evolve and continuing to grow. So now that I've convinced you that reflection is necessary, let's have a look at some practical tools that you can use today. And I've got 4 of these. You can use these now. And what I find with these is that they're really low effort and high impact, because in this lost week between Christmas and New Year, nobody needs maximum effort stuff. They're really low effort with high impact. So the first one is this: go for a walk. blob out somewhere personally, go, float around your pool, and think about a year in review. Think about what drained you so that you understand that. Think about what energized you. Think about times when perhaps you abandoned yourself. Now, what do I mean by that? It's times when you stepped back and knew that the behavior wasn't necessarily the best that you could do, but you did it anyway. Just reflect on those. And then also reflect on, where did you grow? So those 4 things: what drained me, what energized me, where did I abandon myself, and where did I grow? Now, this isn't about fixing. This isn't about answers. This is about bringing these things to your own awareness, to start noticing them. Yeah. Giving time towards these things, because you haven't done that up to this point. So that's the first one. Just notice what you're noticing, and when you get back from your walk or out of the pool or to a desk, write those things down. Not fixing, just noticing. The second one is this. It's like, I call this an identity check-in. And I think, well, I don't think, I know that you will find this really valuable to do. 1 page, free writing, answering this question. You're writing it. And if you need to type it, type it. I'm a big believer in writing things. Who did I become this year? Who did I become this year? And then, who do I want to be next? And this is, you can think about this as, who did I become this year as a leader? Who did I become this year as a partner? Who did I become this year as a parent? You can attach a label to it if you want to. When you focus around you as a leader and you as a person, then this reconnects your leadership to your identity. Who am I? Who did I become this year? It reconnects to that identity rather than it just being output, rather productivity. What did you do? What did you do? It's not about the output. It's about who you actually are. And that's quite good for you to look at that and go, okay, I've written that. Maybe there are some things that I'd like to change here. The third thing for you to have a look at is what I share with my clients as a pattern spotter. And this is where what you do is, and this might come out of the first one we talked about, that year in review, where you identify a recurring situation. Is there recurring conflict? Is there recurring overwork? Is there recurring avoidance of difficult conversations or tasks that you just don't want to do? And ask yourself, what role did I play in this situation? And then what else did I do in this situation? And this will lead you towards self-leadership, but will also help you to think about, where do I go from here with this? And this is where it might be about you thinking about a coach or a mentor or a program of some sort, or reading of specific books that will be able to help you to get out of that pattern, to change that pattern, particularly when that pattern isn't working for you. So acknowledging the role that you played in the situation and being honest. Now, obviously, with books, with information about small group coaching, one-on-one coaching, yell out, and I'll provide you with some information and some resources that you can access. The final one is one intention. One intention. Now, often when we're looking to change things, we want to change everything at once. Oh yeah, well, I've been making all these mistakes, so what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll change everything at once. And it gets too difficult for us. And when it gets too difficult, the easiest thing to do is to give up. So what I encourage you to do is to set yourself a time limit. So set yourself 30 days or 60 days or 90 days and choose one intention that you want to have as a leader for that next period of time. Do you want to have more clarity? Do you want to be steadier? Do you want to demonstrate more bravery or more courage? And what I'd like you to do is to let the reflection that you've already done inform the intention so that you're making it from a positive perspective. Hey, I want to change this. I want to be different, rather than a pressure situation. Yeah. And that sets you up really, excuse me, itchy nose, that sets you up really well to go back into the start of 2026, because you've got that intention, you've thought about it, you've reflected. I really encourage you to try these things during this downtime. Now, a couple of additional reflection questions to go in there. The first one is this: what has this year revealed about how I lead myself when things get hard? Now, you've heard me say before, leading's easy. You're really just managing the situation. So managing is something that lots of us can do. We need to lead when things get tough. So this is about, like, what has this year revealed about how I lead myself when things get tough? Maybe you had people in your organization who were playing a game that, didn't quite gel with everybody else. Maybe there was someone you were at loggerheads with from a communication perspective. What is it? What did this reveal about how you lead yourself when things get hard? I'll give you an example. When it's too cold or it's raining, I don't want to go for my morning walk. I don't want to go. So I come up with 50 excuses. So what has this year revealed? Well, when things get hard like that, I don't go. So my commitment to myself for 2026 is that I'm going to go anyway. I do have some lovely umbrellas, and they, I've got some old shoes. I don't have to wear my best shoes out if it's raining. The next question, the second reflection question, is this: what pattern am I ready to interrupt? And what awareness do I need to do that? So we've already done, I've given you those 4 tools, and we've looked at here I'm identifying the pattern. My pattern, with the example I gave you before, is, it's raining, won't go. Ooh, it looks like it might rain, so I won't go. And so in order to interrupt that pattern, I put an umbrella by my front door, so that if it looks like it's going to rain, I'm going to take that umbrella with me. Yeah? What pattern am I ready to interrupt, and what awareness do I need to do that? And also, as I said before, that awareness might be all about what coaching is available. What do I need to do to get a mentor? What resources might I be reading and plugging into? Okay. So just in summary of all that we've talked about today, reflection is that bridge between your actual experience and increased self-awareness and self-leadership. And I would encourage you to do that, because you start to lead yourself the moment that you notice what might need to change. That's when you start to lead yourself. And also, I'd really encourage you to take the time to reset and to reflect, because it will improve you as a leader, self-leadership, but also as an individual in all areas of your life. Okay, thank you so much. If you've got any questions or comments, pop them on the platform that you're watching this on. We're saying Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. If you've watched a replay, hashtag replay, remember that if what's happened as a result of your reflection is that you're looking to consider a coach, either one-on-one coaching or in a small group, I've got a number of those different options. So reach out and I'll share those options with you. Obviously, what we do is go a lot deeper into a whole heap of the topics that that we've covered in leadershipization, and also those the activities and the information is tailored and customized to your particular situation. So reach out if you'd like a 30-minute call. We'll make sure that we put a link for you to have a look at. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your break, and the very best wishes for a successful, healthy, and a productive 2025, 2026. That's what we're moving into. My apologies. So a productive 2026 where your self-awareness and your self-leadership is front of mind for you. Bye now.